Welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. The lady you see here was Amelia Baca. If I'm pronouncing that name, I'm sorry. I'm definitely not good with names. But on April 16th, the Los Cruces police officers in New Mexico, of course, murdered this woman. I'm not going to sit here and play games with this one. This is not. This was murder. Now, Amelia was suffering from dementia. As you know, people with dementia can do a lot of things, a lot of erratic things, and they can scare their families. So her daughter called the police after Amelia here with dementia started um, basically threatening to kill her daughter or harm herself, right? But in the 911 call, the daughter is like, my mom has dementia and she's threatened to kill me. Basically says she may have a knife. And okay. So the police arrive. Officer shows up, says police, waves two people out of the apartment. Meanwhile, of course, that leaves the mother in the house. Well, the mother's standing there on the door, and immediately upon the other people moving, the officer starts screaming at this woman to drop the knife. He's not hollering or suggesting. He is screaming, "Drop the fucking knife!" Direct quote from the video. He's not once calm to this woman. From the moment that they make contact with each other, the woman with dementia and the officer is screaming bloody murder at this woman. Like he is just hopped up and ready to kill someone, looking for an excuse to murder this woman. And then he kills her. From the video I can see, and the videos that I've watched now, she didn't lunge at the man. His life was not in danger. And he refused to de-escalate the situation. In fact, he escalated it himself by screaming at a woman that he knew had dementia. How do we know he knew that she had dementia? Because the 911 dispatcher was informed of such. This woman needed help. Didn't need to be murdered. She needed help. Her family needed help. I could just imagine what they're going through. But this happened back in April, and of course the footage is just now starting to leak out. Over the last few weeks, apparently. I heard talk about this, but I didn't really see much about it until recently. But this woman was murdered by police in New Mexico simply because she had an episode, because she has dementia, and they murdered her. He didn't really give her a chance. He didn't try to talk her down, and his life was never in danger. Now, I know a lot of people are going to see this video and they'll be like, but yeah, he feared for his life because she had a knife. She's 75 years old and has a knife. How about you step off a little bit? You put yourself some distance between the two of you. Is a 75-year-old woman too fast for what looks like to be a 20 or 30-year-old officer? Really? You're scared of some little grandma? Yes, I understand anybody can be a threat. I get that. But you have a gun, she has a knife. Step back. Create room. Don't scream at her. Why is the officer screaming at this woman? This is why people say defund the police. This is why they say give funds to other organizations who can be called out to instances like this. Where instances like this, sure, you have an officer on hand in case something goes awry. But in a situation like this, you need somebody who is trained to deal with the situation, trained in de-escalation. And I agree with this woman's family that the officer should be charged with murder if he hasn't already been. This is absolutely, it's out of hand. It's been out of hand for a long damn time. But a 75-year-old woman is dead because this officer, I guess, wanted to get his rocks off of murder. That's all I can assume. How else do you show up and immediately start screaming off the top of your lungs to drop the knife? How do you just show up and start screaming? When I first started the video, I was like, how does this end in shooting? He seems so calm and peaceful. Right? That's like the first 30 seconds of the video that I saw. He's walking up to the door, and I'm thinking, he seems pretty calm. He waves the two women out, all calm. And then he just all of a sudden explodes into this rage of screaming, drop the fucking knife. There is no way what this man did is justified. 75-year-old woman with dementia, and you're scared because she has a knife. Supposed to be a grown-ass man, aren't you? These officers need to stop. They need better training or something. But if they're going to keep murdering people, they sure as hell don't deserve the paychecks they're getting. They don't deserve to be on our streets. Now, as somebody who does not have dementia, but as somebody who is slow to react to things that happen around them, or physically can't move very quickly, this terrifies me. That if for some reason I had some kind of episode, that I would end up dead or severely injured simply because I couldn't lift my arms fast enough. By the way, I can't lift both arms at the same time. As funny as that may sound. And I know many other people out there, when they get screamed at, they react differently, whether they have dementia or not. You start screaming at them and they don't react immediately because it doesn't click in their head what they're supposed to do next. That can happen to people that don't have any kind of mental impairment. But this woman had dementia. And this officer made the choice to murder her. Now, I want to make that very clear. This was not just an officer-involved shooting. This was an officer-involved murder. Okay? This woman did not pose a major threat to this man. She did not lunge at him like she was going to kill him. And he could have just stepped back. Yet this happens day in and day out in this country, and we do nothing about it except the police are allowed to do whatever the hell they want, and nobody has any way to stop them from doing it. Many officers in this country are cowards. And I think Jank over at TYT said it pretty well. He was talking about this case. I saw a video on TikTok of him talking about it, where they have that saying, better to be judged by 12 than to be carried out by 6. And like he said, that's a saying of cowards. You're supposed to protect and serve. You're supposed to take care of your community. Now, I'm starting to realize that maybe a lot of what we heard about are supposed people dying and stuff by the police, or they're dealing with police. Maybe it's always been there that these people have been gunned down for no reason. Now, I know for a fact, that it's always been there for the African American community, because I've heard horror stories long before we started seeing video of it, of how officers treat people of color. But this lady here, she posed no threat to anybody. Neither did any of those other unarmed people. If someone is 10 foot away from you and they have a knife, they are not a threat to you. You can move away and run away, most likely, and get away from them. Especially if they're 75 years old. Now, I know a lot of older ladies can move, but they're not going to outrun a spry young officer. So I'm going to say this, and I've said it before. Officers need to give space, because space gives time. It is something that you learn in driving school. When you're learning to drive, one of the things the driver instructor will tell you is give yourself space, because space creates time. And that's really all I have to say. This has to stop. To the family of Amelia here, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sorry how this happened. And I understand. You just wanted help. You didn't call the police for them to hurt your mother. You called to get help. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. And I hope you get justice. I hope this man is charged with murder. Not manslaughter. He deserves murder, because there's no accident here. He didn't accidentally kill this woman. He willfully and purposely shot her to death because he's a coward. And then above that, I hope you sue the city of Las Cruces to the point that they, go bankrupt. I really do. And I hope you get everything that you deserve, and the highest amount that a court can award you in New Mexico. Because this has got to stop. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you down the road.